Welcome.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to today's live show. Welcome, Thom, as well to the live.
Hey, good to be here.
So glad to be here with you. It's been 5 months since the last live show. I cannot believe that. It feels like it was just yesterday. And here we are already well into the next school year. And I'm really excited about the show that we have planned for you. We're going to be doing something different than what we did in the past. We're trying out a new format. So we're going to be talking about different things that are happening in the world of education and the world of education technology today. Specifically, we're going to be talking about educator burnout. And we would love to hear from you during the live show. Your thoughts, we'll bring them into the show, answer your questions. So please be active and engaged and ask any questions that you might have or share your ideas, frustrations as well. We're also going to be talking about the impact of remote teaching on the current state of education and the future of education as well. And we have lots of giveaways. I believe, Thom, is it correct? We have 6 giveaways. Is it 6?
Yes.
5
no,
or 6?
it's 5 with
7?
a bonus one. So.
Oh, okay. 5 with a
it's
bonus.
special when it's a bonus one.
Yes. So we're going to be giving lots of things away throughout the entire show today. We have a One by Wacom pen tablet here that we're going to be giving away. Pretty awesome. We have a signed copy of Jake Miller's book, Educational Duct Tape, that we're going to be giving away. Jake was just on our academy for a special webinar on Monday, and it was awesome. And he agreed to give us a copy to give away here as well. So that's great. And then I don't have anything to show for this, but we're also going to be giving away free subscriptions to Screencastify. And we have lots of those to give away. And so it's actually a good time to mention that we just want to give a special thank you to our sponsors today. So Wacom and Screencastify are sponsoring this show, and they have kindly provided us with some stuff to give away. So I'm sure you're interested in the giveaway. And in fact, we're going to jump in. We're going to do one right now before we even get started talking about anything, just to kick this off in a fun way. So here's the rules. It's pretty simple. We're going to ask a question, and all of these questions are numerical. So in order to win, you just basically have to guess the right answer or get as close to the correct answer as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to see who can get the correct answer the fastest. And if you, Thom, I guess we didn't discuss this. Can people enter more than one? if somebody writes and nobody gets it, we're going to let people keep going. Yeah, let's do it.
I guess so.
You get one vote. You get one vote to start. Okay. You get one vote. If nobody is remotely even close at all, then we can let people go again. How about that? We can kind of play it by ear.
That does sound all right.
So the way that it's gonna, okay, cool. So the way it's gonna work is we're gonna ask a question, and you just need to drop in the chat your answer to the question. Okay, pretty simple. The first person to get it wins. Okay. All right. So ready, Thom?
Yeah,
okay,
I'm ready. You're asking the first question,
okay.
right?
I'm asking the first question.
Okay.
And what is this for? What is this? What are
This
we giving away right
is going to be for a Screencastify unlimited plan. You can choose whether you're going to use it on the record plan, on the edit plan, or the submit plan. You basically pick one of them to go fully unlimited, unlocked.
Sweet. And I will say too as well that we're going to put up our email. So you don't need to put your email for us to contact you. We're going to put up our contact. So if you win, then we'll write your name down and then you can email us and we'll put that on the screen. So you don't have to put your email in the chat. Okay. All right. So question number 1, all right, is what is Thom's favorite number? Okay. What is Thom's favorite number? Now you get a bonus if you want to throw out there why you think it is his favorite number. He's going to tell us why it's his favorite number, but what is Thom's favorite number? And I'm leaving this to you, Thom, to pull somebody from the chat who has gotten your favorite.
All right, I'll let the numbers start coming in. I think we're on a little bit of a delay, so it may be a few seconds. Okay, we got a guess of 8. Once the first person actually guesses it, I will go ahead and say, yes, that is it. Let's keep going with our Jeopardy theme here. Oh, okay, a bunch of them just came through. We've got, we got 13, we got 5, nope, not 56, not 12,
13.
not 7, not 5, not 7, not 6, not 11, not 10, not 25, not 23, not 13, 8, 65. All right, here's a hint. It's between 1 and 30. It is between 1 and 30.
So if you just put it in, you can put it in again. We'll let people put it in again.
Yeah, we're letting you go again. We're letting you go again.
13. Somebody said 13. Wow.
Someone did say 13.
It was 13. Yeah.
Not 9, not 42, not 2, not 1. Juan's
between 1 and 30.
Juan's going all in. Juan's like 2, 1, 23.
1 and 30. It's in between 1 and 30.
Yeah, all right. 24, Lisa D. Got it with 24. I know a Lisa D. I wonder if that is the Lisa D that I know. We shall see.
Hey.
The number 24, it is my favorite number because I was born August 24th, and I was number 24 in JV football, and I represented the number 24, jersey number 24 from the bench I represented it on the bench quite a bit. So let's give it up for number 24. Thanks everyone in the chat. Yeah, everyone was all over that. So Lisa D, I'm gonna write that in my little notes here that Lisa D won. But Lisa, you can email us at contact@newedtechclassroom.com and we'll get you hooked up with your free unlimited Screencastify plan.
Awesome. And if you're like, who is this guy who just, we just guessed his favorite number, right? This is Thom Gibson. And I'm sure folks know who he is by now. You've seen him on several amazing videos on the channel. But if, not expecting also that you're following every single thing that's going on with New Ed Tech Classroom. So you might be like, hey, is this a guest? Or, who is this guy? This is Thom Gibson. He is our new creative director. He also happens to be a really good friend of mine. This last July, I finally was able to cajole him to come over and join the team. And it was kind of a long, he found out there was a long time plotting in my head, the move. I kind of made it sound like it was spontaneous, hey, come on over. But I really, in all seriousness, wanted to bring somebody over to the team who had depth of experience with math and science. Thom is a 2-time Teacher of the Year as well. He's taught robotics, and so he really fills out the team in an amazing way just because he brings a whole other perspective, and he comes with a lot of talents, as you've probably been able to tell if you've been watching the new content as well. So much of that has been informed by his role as creative director. So welcome, Thom, officially to New Ed Tech Classroom.
This is the official welcome. Yes, the first live stream is the official welcome.
Yeah. So I got to ask you, Thom, and also, Thom ended up, after I asked him to come over, he did end up deciding that he was going to take some time away from the classroom, which was kind of unexpected for him and his family, and do this thing with me full time, give it a shot. So curious, how's it going? New Ed Tech Classroom. Are you liking it? How's life so far?
I am liking it. Your pitch originally was not as subtle as you thought it was, because me and Sam were talking. We talk asynchronously on Marco Polo, and I was like, hey Sam, I've got this new online course. I know you're building a course academy. Maybe I could put it on your course academy, and then we can kind of cross promote. And and Sam came back to me. He's like, yeah, we could do that. Or you could come on as a partner of New Ed Tech Classroom. I was like, whoa, I did not expect that. But the more I thought about it, the more I felt it made sense. The mission of what New Ed Tech Classroom is all about and what Sam's been trying to build really lines up with what I've been trying to do. My channel originally wasn't as much tech focused, but really just trying to help teachers design innovative and engaging and meaningful experiences for the students. And New Ed Tech Classroom is a platform to show how technology can can do that. And I was showing so much of that already on my channel, and Sam's done such a great job of building such a great community around the YouTube channel and around just the new EdTech classroom brand and community that I knew I'd be able to make a larger impact with so many more teachers, and we would both be able to make a larger impact working together than as opposed to both of us trying to kind of figure out how to do all of this on our own. So I've really enjoyed it. Sam's younger brother, is actually our main guy of operations, and so he does like all the stuff that I really never liked doing anyways. Like when I was doing this by myself, like upkeep on the website and keep like scheduling things on social media and keeping the newsletter stuff like clean and good and landing pages. And if you want this thing, give us your email here. Like that stuff takes so much time. And so just to kind of like be able to be a part of a team that's creating content and not have to worry about some of that stuff and like focus on like my skill sets of learning new technology and sharing that technology and thinking about classroom applications and making videos about that is what I enjoy doing. So I've really loved it and really have enjoyed it.
Yeah, we're super excited, like I said, about what you've already brought to the team. And, if everybody out there has noticed like a significant upgrade in quality, like that is largely based on Thom's influence. And so it's just been amazing having you. It's also, I know everybody just experienced this, but I'm still working remotely. And so, sometimes it's kind of lonely. Like, I'm here, in my shed in the woods making content and mostly hanging out by myself. And before, I was talking a lot to my brother, like you mentioned, who is also part of the New EdTech Classroom team. But now, to have Thom on, we're able to talk, we're able to collaborate. And I think, particularly when you're making things, and I found this to be true when I was planning instruction as well, it's so much better to be able to bounce ideas off of other people and get their contribution. It just enhances the quality and it makes it feel like a more communal experience. Another fun fact
and
is
I
that,
remember like when you and your brother were gone for like 3 or 4 days for his wedding, like so much of that now, like my work, like I go on a run with my daughter in the mornings, and almost every day I'm sending Sam like a Marco Polo while I'm running and saying like, hey, what's going on? What are you working on today? This is what I'm working on. This is what I'm thinking. What do you think about this? And then he'll send one back. We'll literally have these conversations while I'm running asynchronously. And then I'll log into Slack during the day and just like after I'm done with something and want a little distraction. It was like 3 or 4 days of just like radio silence because they were at his brother's wedding and rightfully not working on anything. But I didn't realize like how much like I appreciated and valued just that communication with someone of like we're working on the same thing together, someone to bounce ideas off of, someone just to talk to, even if it's asynchronously each day. So I didn't realize how much that has been helpful, particularly now that I'm working from home and spending a lot of time with my 20-month-old daughter most of the day. So it's been my way of connecting as well with other people, being you.
Fun fact about Thom and I. So Thom and I have been friends for a couple of years now. We met because he reached out to me to be on his podcast, and then we did some events after that. And then we started talking using this app, Marco Polo, which, by the way, if you've ever wanted to have asynchronous video conversations, check out the app Marco Polo. They're not like sponsoring us, although we should talk to them, because we use this app like authentically all the time. It's funny. The other day, my friend was asking me, he's like, why you're like the tech guy. Why isn't there an app that allows people to do asynchronous video? And I was like, there is. It's this app called Marco Polo, and it's pretty cool. Thom had to sell me on it, but I think it's, you can group people as well, which I just figured out. But it could be great for family communication, just different types of communication as well, because you can basically just record a video and then a person can watch it at their own time, and they can also speed it up to watch it a little bit faster as well. And there's like a little note taker on it. And so I really appreciate it. I've grown to feel like it's an indispensable communication tool, and it's so much more personable than like texting, and we just can't, we're on different time zones, and, Thom has a young kid, so he can't talk all the time. So it just works out really well. So something for people to consider, Marco Polo. Check it out if you're interested in asynchronous video.
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat. We got a lot of love. Juan Garcia, I love seeing his stuff. He's always supporting this, what we're doing. So we really appreciate it, Juan. Other folks here. Vicky, thank you for the support. Vicky's been following both of us separately, and now what we're doing together. And Lorena is just always present. It's good to see you again, Lorena, in here. We got people from all over the world too. Terry Gutierrez from Mexico. Nice. So it's just been cool to see everyone in the chat. So we really appreciate y'all chiming in there. So we are seeing that.
For sure, yeah. And if you're just coming in, we still have lots of giveaways for the rest of the show. We'll be.
Why don't we do another one right now? So.
Okay.
So the first question was what was my favorite number. The second question is going to be, what is Sam's favorite number? Go ahead, put your guesses in the chat. First one to get it will win. This is for a Screencastify license, unlimited license. Sorry, Lisa D, you already got one. You can't get another one. So let's get some music going.
What's my favorite number?
What is Sam's favorite number? All right, they're starting to come in.
Bonus if you can guess why. Too. Anybody want to put some little guesses about why?
Oh, we've got a winner already.
Hey!
We've got a winner already. All right. The winner is Dawn Dickerson. She was the first one to put the number 4. Oh, hey. And Juan put number 4. He was putting so many numbers in last time and he wanted to wait again, but it came later. Sorry, Juan. He's like, I need it. All right. So Dawn Dickerson.
What's interesting is that, so I saw Tom's answer to this question 24, and he had written in our plan that it was his number because it was his football number. And I didn't know that you played football, Tom.
I didn't. If you heard the note, I was sitting on the bench for a while.
Okay. Yes. So actually, what I found the most amusing about that is that I was also a bench rider for a large part of my football career, and my football number was 4. It was my favorite number. It still is my favorite number. Like I tag it. I like put it on lots of like things, like a username and things like that. So anyways, 4. I don't know why I ended up picking that, but that was my football number. And I was also a bench rider. So,
I didn't realize, I went on a men's retreat with my church this past weekend, and it was like out in the middle of, this real nice camp, and they were doing, there was like basketball and football and Frisbee, and then I love to run. I know you like to run, and you had a little story about that you wanted to share, but I realized and remembered how bad I am about with ball sports. I was so bad. My ball handling skills in basketball are just trash. Played football, was really bad at that. And it was just a reminder. I literally had a moment where I'm I had to tell myself, not even jokingly, I had to tell myself, I'm better at other things. I don't have, and then I'm used to being kind of the younger person in a group, but there was a bunch of folks that were there that were 24, 25. I was oh yeah, I'm 34 now and not the youngest guy here. So I was reminded. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Dawn Dickerson said her basketball number was 4.
Oh, hey.
And she was the one that won.
Well, Tom towers 2 feet over me. We have yet to actually ever meet in person. So when we meet, it's going to be this kind of weird, awkward thing where he's way taller than me.
All right. Well,
so
go ahead, Sam. Why don't you take the lead here?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, as a transition, that I was thinking, about the topic of today, and it's not a topic that is actually just it's not isolated to educators, right? I mean, you open up the news and there is some story about how people are quitting, right, and people are burned out, and people are reevaluating their lives and things like that. So I actually had a moment like this the other day, and you and I have been talking about this for a while, right? So in Facebook, right, how when you open up Facebook, they will give you a suggestion. I don't know if anybody's like a part of Shutterstock, but it does this too. Like sometimes it will send you pictures from like 5 years ago in your email, and it will give you a suggestion in Facebook and say, hey, do you want to share this picture, with your community or what have you? And so this picture popped up that I think we have here. Do we have this picture?
We've got it.
I got this. All right. So I got this picture of me, I believe that's 5 years ago. So that is me doing a half Ironman in Coeur d'Alene. So fun fact about me, I used to do half Ironmans, full Ironmans, and I was like super fit at the time. And I am not at all fit now. One of the things about running a business has just been that it's been completely all consuming. And that's partially my personality too, that I'm not that great at time management in some ways, or, I'm certainly not that great about taking time for myself. Like if I, feel like I have something that I need to do for work, I almost always prioritize that. And seeing this picture just really made me have this like full stop realization, like, wow, that used to be me. And I would like that to be me again, it's not out of the cards that could happen. And so I've started running again. And I'm super excited about that. I am far from half Ironman shape at this point, but I even set up my bike trainer in my room, and I've sort of tried to do like some, hybrid bike trainer, listen to some podcasts or like watch some instructional videos or something like that, to still have it be like kind of a pseudo work experience. But I'm excited about that. And it's made me think a lot about, just what we're going to be talking about in terms of burnout and how to address it. Because I've also been feeling, to be honest, a little burned out and a little tired. I've been basically going, full bore since I started New EdTech Classroom, and just trying to find some ways here and there to carve out some time for myself and some time to like feel better physically too. So we can take the picture down now, Thom.
I just leave it up our entire conversation.
This made me feel bad the whole time. Like, man, why doesn't he look like that anymore?
Superimpose your like current face on the picture. Yeah, an Ironman's serious business. I've ran a marathon. And I've always like, maybe I should do an Ironman, but like I've been training Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, I don't think I can like add biking and swimming and running and trying to do jiu-jitsu and taking care of a baby and trying to help run a business too. So it's serious business though.
You got to be dedicated to it. Like it's the real deal, especially the full Ironman. I mean, you're talking serious hours training for sure. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so I think that's a good segue into what we're going to talk about today. The first conversation that we want to have just about this whole idea of teacher burnout. Teacher burnout, nothing new, right? This is not a new conversation in any way. I certainly have felt burned out in the past. Plenty of educators have felt burned out in the past, but it does seem to have reached new heights, right? So there, do we have that article actually, Thom? The article referring to the percentage of teachers who reported that they're thinking about potentially leaving the profession. It's okay if it doesn't pull up, but this article was, and it looks like that's the Cult of Pedagogy one. I don't know if you have the other one, but
sorry, which one was it?
It's the article about the percentage of teachers who were thinking about leaving. So supposedly, according to this article, the percentage of teachers who are very seriously considering leaving the profession has jumped 20% to over 50%. This came out, I believe, I want to say it was around the end of the summer. So, that is a significant shift, right? And it does seem to dovetail pretty closely with the narrative that we're hearing about basically it being quitting season, right? There was also a recent New York Times article about how right now everybody is kind of reevaluating what they do. And I think in large part finding it difficult, and I'm curious to hear what people say in the chat too. But I think finding it difficult to go from a moment of significant disruption and kind of accepting that you would just go back to status quo from that. I think that's what's happened to a lot of people in the workplace, and I think that's what's happened in part with a lot of educators, that to kind of return to status quo. And by status quo, I don't mean non-tech integrated teaching. That's not what I'm referring to, but just kind of like business as usual. That has been particularly, I think, tough for people to swallow. And then right in the midst of this conversation, one of the many education thought leaders that Thom and I pay attention to because she's awesome, Jennifer Gonzalez, she put out a podcast and a blog post called Teachers Are Barely Hanging On. Here's what they need. And we listened to it, read through the article, and I thought she had a lot of really insightful things to say about, and in a pretty forceful way, which I also appreciated, about like, these things need to happen, right, in order for things to change, because if they don't, we're like on the precipice of a significant crisis here. So, curious, Thom, in a second to, your thoughts on it, on what Jen Gonzalez was talking about, and then also just love to hear from people in the chat, like, are you feeling burned out? Are you tired, right? And then I want to get into, with Thom, just talking about why, like what's the root cause, and use Jen Gonzalez's post to kind of as a jumping off place, and then talk about some different potential solutions without, kind of fooling ourselves that there's going to be a quick fix.
Yeah. It's just us coming up with the solution on a live stream. Yeah, on the podcast, I'm looking in the chat. A few people have actually said they've already listened to this podcast. Amber was saying she's been sharing this one with a lot of her teacher friends and stuff. And with this is, like, if you haven't read the blog or heard the podcast, she posted out on Twitter and kind of just asked, like, what's causing it to be like the worst school year? Because people are saying like this one's way worse. This school year is way worse than last year, because even like I was in the classroom last year, and I remember just more schools were at least trying to be like, all right, here's what we're going to try to make this work. We're going to just make sure all of our safety guidelines are in place, and we're going to try asynchronous days so that, kids aren't getting burned out and teachers aren't getting burned out. That wasn't going on everywhere, but I felt that I saw a lot of that a lot more. That was my own experience last year at school as well. And I feel that this year, like, everyone's just got this pressure. A lot of school leaders have this pressure of like, we're so far behind. As if like, if you just tell teachers to go faster, to try to cover twice as much stuff, that somehow that is gonna, have the students learn the content that they would normally have learned had there not been a global pandemic. And so right. What that ends up causing is, in the post, most of the root issues was time. There's so many teachers that are having to cover for other teachers because there's such a sub shortage, and so like they're barely getting any time to themselves, any planning time. They're barely getting prep periods to actually get ahead or even just get their lessons ready. Some teachers are having longer school days to try to keep going and cramming it all in. And that was one of those things where it says like, she says right here, even before COVID, teachers like barely had enough time to do their jobs well. And, me and you were actually talking about this, Sam, like even just generally outside of the classroom, it's so hard to kind of like rethink your systems and rethink of like, okay, I'm drowning here, what can change, when you don't even have the time to like breathe. Like you're literally just trying to think like, okay, I've got to just get something by to like next period. I'm not even prepared for next period. And so I need to work on that while I'm covering this other class that I'm hoping I can just sit in the classroom and it's not going to turn into some classroom management issue that I just now have to deal with on what's supposed to be my prep period. It's so hard to like even begin to organize your time when you feel like you're drowning. Like you don't have time to create these systems of like, how can I be a better steward of my time? How can I implement these new strategies? How can I even consider my practice? Like there's just no time for that. And I think that was like the through line of so many things is like, there just isn't time, and just people are just feeling so worn out in regards to that.
Yeah, I think something that she said about time that was really insightful, that made me think differently about it, is just the impact that feeling like you never have enough time, how that impacts a person. She describes, how she'll get grumpy, irascible if she's feeling kind of all this pressure, like she's just it's impossible to get everything done. And that is just kind of the constant state of being a teacher, this feeling like you're never going to be able to get things done. I'm curious also, for people to let us know, like, is this you trying to stay late sometimes at school? Or maybe, you've done like I did in the past where you would stay late for a while, but then maybe one year you would have like a pact with yourself, like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to work on the weekends, which is something that you'll hear people say as a potential solution. Like, oh, you need to create these boundaries. Well, sometimes, the unfortunate repercussion of doing that is that you fall behind, right? Like you do not have the time in your school day to do all of the lesson planning, all the paperwork, to go to all the meetings, to respond to all the parent emails, to clean your classroom. A lot of us, like, I don't know about you all, but like I had to clean my own classroom, otherwise it would get filthy. There's nobody coming in cleaning the classroom for me and stuff. So, it's this, she talks about the wear that happens when you have to wear so many hats, that people just get worn down. And there's so many hats that teachers have to wear that are not the teaching job, right? Not the job of teaching. And I think, that was a really good point about the impact, the long-term impact of exhaustion and how that just really gets people down. And I think something she didn't talk about as much, but I think is a factor, is also the fact that there's carryover from last year. I think people made a big push. There was a lot of energy, an attempt to do things differently, and an investment in like, how can we do this remote teaching thing? And then people had this very short, ended up being a very short break, and had to go right back, and that was really tough. My wife is a special education teacher, and I'm certainly seeing it in her. And just from also what I'm hearing, talking to her about her workplace and people that we work with on a day-to-day basis, it just seems like this is a collective experience of people just really feeling like there's time scarcity right now. So
what I did like about in the podcast of what she said, it's like, I mean, this is kind of getting a little bit into where she was kind of getting like, well, what do we do about it? She had another podcast on this topic idea, but subversion.
Yeah, we should talk about what do you do about it. So
just not doing it.
Yeah.
Like
So
whenever a lot of teachers working with like, oh, admin says I need to turn in lesson plans that look like this and have this, and it takes so much more time than what I would normally do.
Right, which is
like
total
asking
baloney.
like what would happen if you just didn't do it. And I know, I mean, she clearly says like you may lose your job, like if you choose not to do some of these things, because if you look online, there are just some toxic schools with really, really poor leadership that would fire someone that would put them in a bind, but it would prove a point, but just like the idea of like just not doing it. There was a lot of things sometimes that just didn't make a lot of sense to me when I was teaching. It added more work. And sometimes I would communicate, why I was not doing something if I was asked by admin. But a lot of times if I didn't do it, like no one checked in with me about it. No one said, hey, you didn't turn in those lesson plans, or you turn in lesson plans that just happen to be a general outline of like what your week's going to look like anyways. And like what's going to... It might be worth it to see, like, there may be no repercussions because, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and, the reality is, probably everybody who's watching, I'm sure, my guess is you're thinking, I already do that. I already don't do things because you literally cannot do everything, right? I do appreciate that she really puts the onus on administration, and I would go, even further to just, it's beyond like an individual school's administration, but this is a structural issue. And sometimes, when we get to talking at that level, it can be frustrating because there's not something immediate that we can do. But I think the more we are surfacing this as an issue, the more, that we can actually get some things to change. It's been interesting so this is something I've always personally experienced, as a teacher, always feeling like I was behind and there was just no way that I could do everything that I was supposed to do, even if I did stay super late and worked every weekend and all that. Like, it just wasn't possible. And actually becoming a business owner has made me think a little bit differently about kind of the role of leadership in schools and some of the things that I think need to happen. You're always, I don't want to come out and be like, school should be run like a business, because, that's like, like, no, And so when I say that, I learned from business, I'm not saying, privatize schools, nothing like that, but, what I learned about what the actual responsibility of someone who runs a business, like what that is, it's actually very similar to what the responsibility, I think, of a person who runs a school should be, right? And so the idea is that essentially, if you are a business owner, that your sort of purpose should be to create your business with the end goal, potentially, of being able to essentially sell that business, right? And the concept there is that you've actually designed all the systems and structures so that it kind of can run on its own, so that you could step away from it, right? This, I think it has a lot of application to an individual classroom as well. But think about if a school was actually built that way, where the admin team saw it as their responsibility to build out the systems and structures so that you could bring new people in and you had a whole system to onboard them. Imagine that, right? Like training, you had you were also in the process of helping people with instruction. And that's something that Jennifer Gonzalez talks about as well. Like, let's not do these, kind of like totally meaningless ways of trying to give teachers back time. Like, oh, we get out of a meeting 15 minutes early, or, you get to wear jeans on this day, or, we brought coffee in or something. It's like, come on, like that's not meaningful structural change. And so the more I've learned about a business, the more I'm kind of, and running one, what it means to run one, the more I'm a little bit like flabbergasted that more schools aren't run like one, in the sense that school leaders aren't looking to like, how can I actually just develop, like make it my job to develop the systems and structures for this thing to run like a well-oiled machine, so that, we can automate as many things as possible. There's so many things like that are on an individual teacher's plate that, why don't we pass that over to a system? And I'm not even saying necessarily a person, an actual system. Like in today's day and age, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like she's talking about how teachers are still, sending out like field trip things and stuff like that. And she talks about, we'll hire somebody who's, lower, they're going to just come in and maybe they're a para or something and have them do that. But like, I mean, I'd take it a step further, automate that. You can turn that into a email template that you send out. There doesn't need to be a person involved with that, So I think when we're, now trying to bring this back to technology integration, that there are also ways that we can use technology the way that the rest of the world has done to automate parts of what it means to do the work of teaching without that being a threat in any way, shape, or form, and only really being a mechanism to try to free up people's time and let them basically do, their job, which is teaching.
Yeah. Two things come to mind. First off, before I say what two things come to mind, we're gonna put a pin in that. I think we need to do another giveaway. Before we do the giveaway, also. Thank you for everyone. Yeah. I've been trying to put up as many little comments of what folks are kind of sharing their experiences, putting up on the screen. So I really appreciate everyone kind of sharing what's going on in your neck of the woods. All right. Okay, let's do another giveaway. Sam, you want to ask? No, I will ask question number 3. All right. So,
all right, go for it.
One of our sponsors is Screencastify. I'm actually going to be talking about them in just a second. Screencastify, if you're not sure, is a screencasting platform. Question number 3. This is for a unlimited. Juan, are you out there? And Juan was just like putting all the numbers in. I think I saw him put like 18 numbers in last time, and he still didn't get it. This is for a Screencastify unlimited plan. You can either choose the unlimited record, unlimited edit, or unlimited submit option on their plan. So your question is, What year was Screencastify created? I'm going to put some music in, and we'll see the first person to get the correct answer.
I don't think I would get this right. I mean, I know the answer, but I don't think I would get it right.
I don't think I would have gotten it right either. We might have just given people a hint.
Still no?
One guess 2010. That is not correct. Whoa, here came a bunch of them just came in. All right, 2010. Right. Juliet, 2012. No. Mutalima, 2004. No. Yvette, 2017. No. Nydia, 2016. No. Pooh, 2018. No. Vicky, 2005. No. Gaia 3, 2008, no. Deborah, 2008, no. NP, 2000, no. Tina, 2017, no. We have got our winner, though. Juliet said 2014. That is correct. That was when I would have thought it was more recent. Juliet E. I would have thought it was more recent than that.
Oh.
I know Screencast-O-Matic has been around a long time too. Loom is probably newer, but Screencastify, I was like, oh, I didn't know that they were around as long as they have been. So, Juliet, email us at contact@newedtechclassroom.com. I didn't even write .com on that thing. I just said newedtechclassroom.com, and we'll get you your prize there.
I was just looking it up to verify, but anyone want to guess what other program came out that year? Which is always blows my mind when I remember this, like how actually recent this program just came out. Any guesses out there? See what people think about this. And this blows my mind because I can't. It's hard to believe that I used to teach with technology without this program. And I did for like a couple of years. This program did not exist. And it's actually kind of mind-blowing. Any ideas about what that is? Any guesses in the
While
the
people are guessing, we have someone named Kenneth saying, Mr. Kary, you used to teach my humanities classroom. So you got a former student
what's up,
here.
sir?
You're a former student here. Get Mr. Kary.
Yeah, he's in high school now, huh?
Yeah.
Right on. Glad to have you here.
Kahoot.
So,
Tina guessed Kahoot.
No, Kahoot is, no. So it's actually Google Classroom. Google Classroom didn't come out until 2014, which whenever I
remember
see that, it's kind of crazy, like, wow. I mean, I used to do, literally, I'm not kidding. I used to write the URL for a web page that I wanted students to go up on the board. That's how I taught with technology. Like, all right, we're going to www, right? And I had...
and it was like a super long extension, like capital P, lowercase j, 721.
Yeah.
I remember that first iteration of Google Classroom because it was right when I had moved schools. And I was like, oh, there's a new thing called Google Classroom. And it was a Google Apps for school, education schools. So... all right. Well, congratulations, Miss Juliet. So
awesome.
What I was going to say,
Congrats.
You were talking before we did our giveaway, you were talking about how we can actually use technology, how you've actually been learning from running a business, how there's a lot of ways that you can optimize your time using technology. A couple things come to mind for me because I kind of thought the same thing when I was in the classroom. I just did a presentation on this on Sunday, and then I'm doing a presentation on this on Saturday as well in Houston at a big educational technology conference. But if you've seen any of my content before I came to New EdTech Classroom, you've probably seen me talk about classroom jobs. And I even intro this in my conferences with like in the entrepreneurship world, they're always talking about like what Sam was talking about, like what can you automate and what can you delegate. And so what I like to do with teachers is I always ask them like, if you had to list all of your tasks that you do as a teacher, both small and big, and then just like, from coming in and opening the blinds, writing the agenda up on the board, making your coffee, making copies, setting up your Google Classroom, keeping your learning management system updated. There is just so many things that teachers do on the day-to-day basis. And you need to get kids doing some of that stuff for so many reasons. It takes so much off of you, but it also empowers your students to do meaningful work. Because I remember when I first taught fifth grade, I did all the class jobs that you would always see, like having a line leader and having a caboose, the person at the end. Like I don't know why even any kids would be excited about being the caboose. But there were these jobs that didn't really serve a greater purpose. It was just to give kids something to do. They did foam at the mouth to be the line leader, though. But you can give them like real leadership opportunities by giving them more meaningful classroom jobs. Like all those things that I listed, like writing the agenda up on the board. Have a student with good handwriting do that. Writing or setting up your computer to project your warm-up at the beginning of class, or particularly if you're moving between classes, like have a student do that when you get there. Or having students like share their passions, like having a student like be the class DJ where they play music for the few minutes before class starts, and as people are coming in, they're listening to the music, and that student can share why they played that music. You're building a positive classroom culture, and then you have class jobs where you're teaching students 21st century skills. Like instead of you having to send an email update to all of your families every week or every month, what if you had a student that was a class podcaster and they just made a 2 to 3 minute podcast about what was going on in the classroom, or some fun like this day in history in math class, and not math class, but in the world of mathematics, or let me go interview a math teacher and what they love about math, and then they learn podcasting skills, doing something with like an app like Soundtrap or GarageBand. Or maybe you have a newsletter writer where they learn how to actually format a newsletter that's talking about what's going on in the class and includes pictures, and they use something like Adobe Spark, which makes it so like a drag and drop, super simple. These are all things that, yes, they do take time to train the students, but one, it takes time off of you in the long run, and two, you can begin to automate that training by creating these asynchronous videos that students watch as part of their training. Think of like when I remember my first job was Carl's Jr. It was a burger place, and I know they have them out in California. They have them here in Texas. And I remember my training was sitting in the back room watching a bunch of really long, boring, and unengaging videos. They don't have to be really long and boring, unengaging videos. They could be short, concise, and clear videos that you make for your students using Screencastify. But then, maybe you have students trade jobs, and so they just watch the tutorial that way, and you don't have to keep retraining and things like that. And so there's so many ways that we can delegate our tasks to the students to build up positive classroom culture, to empower the kids to take leadership in the classroom, to free up time for you as the teacher, and to teach them some of these 21st century skills like podcasting and newsletter writing. And there are ways that we can even automate that process. And so I wasn't planning on pitching anything on this live stream, but we have a free course on classroom jobs. Yeah, we've got a free course on classroom jobs. If you just go to newedtechclassroom.com/student jobs, let me actually, can you write that in the chat, Sam? Newedtechclassroom.com.
I actually can't on the chat.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, but I have something to say about it. So when you're putting it in, because I actually think that what you just said actually comes back, we can make a connection to the point that I was making about school leaders helping to create systems. What Thom is talking about is a system within your classroom where if you create it one time, you have a system. Now, of course, we're not saying this is going to involve some additional work, but in terms of work that pays you forward and is really valuable work to put in, like building the system, because then it's automated for you, and it can be automated for you for years in the future. I would take it a step further, Thom, and I would say that, I'm sure a lot of people are in a position where they're going to need to be doing this themselves. I'm not, kidding ourselves here. But when I'm talking about school systemizing as well, this can also be the role of an admin. Administrators, instructional leaders at a school can create instructional content as well. They can also, at the very least, can we compile all this stuff that teachers have made and not just share it within a single school community, but think about how much stuff like this has already been made all over the place. It still is kind of galling to me and surprising. We don't have a central way to go pull these digital resources. The closest thing to that is something like a Khan Academy, right? And Another awesome place is hyperdocs.co because they have free hyperdocs on there. But, still that like, I feel like we could do such a better job at resource sharing and pooling together that sort of thing, at the very least at your school. So if you are a school admin or on an instructional leadership team, think about how powerful it would be to just like do essentially, figure out what content has already been created by your staff and pull that together and, sure, vet it and make sure it's solid, but that can be shared. That's something you give to a new teacher when they come in, like ease that person's job. I know when I first started teaching that blew my mind. Like, wait, I have to recreate all this stuff? What are you talking about? Like, people have been teaching for generations the same thing. I got to make the lesson from scratch. It makes no sense, And sure, like when you're more experienced and you're iterating, you might want to do that. But like for newer teachers, how helpful would that be? So I love it. I think Jennifer Gonzalez makes a good point in her podcast as well, that like this is not the time to be asking people to like improve your practice or bring on new initiatives, but we are all working, right? Everybody's working still. It's a matter of like, what are you doing when you're working? And if there is a way to find time to build, even if it's in your own class, a system like that, where you're doing some, and I think the number one thing, you're right on target, Thom, is making videos or compiling those resources that somebody else has made. It doesn't even have to be something necessarily you made, but you are basically putting that together like in a package so that you just created a system. You freed up potentially your own time in class. Like if you do an in-classroom flip or asynchronous instruction in class where you have students all, working on a self-paced lesson, that frees up your time in class to, grade. Like I used to actually grade and like give feedback to students on their papers live in class. I was talking to Jake Miller about this on Monday, like how I'm still kind of ashamed to say that. And he's like, why? Like that's like that's a benefit of it, like you can do your grading in class, automate as much of the grading as possible, like run it through these auto grading programs. If you don't need to be like grading bubble things, right? But it can also free up your time to work with small groups and individual students and go to the bathroom. I mean, all kinds of stuff, right? And so to me, if you are going to do that work and you do have a little bit of extra capacity, I don't want to come out and say like, do more. It's not that, but I think there is a way we can work a little bit smarter. And I would love for that work to happen mostly at the admin level, knowing that it likely will not. If you're a teacher out there and you're feeling like you have a little bit of extra capacity to do something, that would be my number one suggestion for what to do.
It's even like, and it, like what you said earlier, you're going to be doing the work. It's kind of like doing different work as opposed to, I'm already going to have to prepare this slideshow and this lecture to give to the students and prepare the notes. What if, I took my notes and then I made a short 3-4 minute Screencastify video where I say all the things that I would have said in the lecture, and then I plop a link to that in the notes for the first like 2 sections of the notes, and then I make another little short video for the next section of the notes, and then another short video for the next section of the notes, and then the students have to watch the videos and then fill in the notes. And one of the companies that we're really big fans of is the Modern Classrooms Project. Kareem Farah, who's the founder of that, he's been on the Cult of Pedagogy podcast as well and talked about that system. But I think their website's like Modern Classroom if you just search the Modern Classrooms Project, they also have like a free course of like how you kind of like structure this in your classroom. And this is what I did last year was like, I was like, I was hybrid. I'm like, I got kids at home. I got kids in person. I got kids absent every day. Like if I give a lecture, like half the kids at home are probably gonna be playing Minecraft. And then the kids here are like, I forgot my computer. It's like, and then the kids that are absent, I'm like, I don't know when or how I'm gonna get them caught up. But if I had these video lessons, it's like class time was used not just to sit and watch an hour-long video lesson. They're short, 5 to 7 minute videos, and they have to watch a few of them, fill in their notes. And then, like Sam said, like that allowed me to start checking in with students and like, hey, how's your progress? How'd you do? Let's take a look at your last assessment, or do small groups, or check in breakout rooms for my students that were still learning from home. And And it freed up time in the sense that I was no longer lecturing to the whole group of students. And so if you're wanting to look for a systematized way of how to kind of implement this and kind of transition from like, I'm trying to do another lecture and it's not going very well and running into all these problems with it, I really highly recommend the Modern Classrooms project. And they've got tons of free resources. Actually, I'm not even going to say they've got one free resource, because if I say tons of free resources, people are like, I don't want to look at tons of free resources. I only
one
need
course.
They have one free online course that walks you step by step. And so it's one of those things where it's going to take some time to learn it, but as Sam said, like, you're paying yourself in the future to get back some time.
And it's modernclassrooms.org.
Okay.
And I do want to also use the opportunity to shout out one of our sponsors, Screencastify. Thom's been mentioning Screencastify. I think Screencastify has really positioned themselves as the tool for education. I'm really impressed with some of the changes that they've made that streamline the process. So, I used to help people like download a tutorial and upload it into another program, add your interactive questions there. And it's like, you got to be pretty dedicated to go through all those steps. It's a lot of work. And now you can add interactive questions directly into a tutorial. Last year, they also created this new part of their program where you can also create an assignment for students where they are screencasting, which I've also long advocated for as a way for students to practice metacognition and do, any number of things, like explain a problem that they're having on their computer. It's a really powerful tool in general, screencasting. And so to get students to be doing that as well, it is really powerful. But a huge barrier was that students needed an extension, and that, as we know, they're often blocked for, understandable reasons from student browsers. And so that was something most students couldn't do. And now you can create an assignment within Screencastify, and then students, you can assign it to students and they don't need an extension to be able to screencast, which is pretty cool. So I think it's also a good segue into another giveaway of a Screencastify subscription.
Yeah, this one's you, Sam. You're asking this question number 4.
All right, so this question for the win, and again, remember, you first person to put the correct number in the chat will win a free annual subscription to Screencastify. And the question is, how many videos were recorded on Screencastify last year? I don't know that I would get this one either, Thom.
Yeah, I don't think I would have gotten this one either.
Curious what people
I'm waiting for
have
that
to
big
say.
barrage of numbers that comes in, like right when I, because they all.
This
come
is
in
what
at
I
the
will
same
tell.
time.
This is what I will say. It is a lot.
It's big. It's more than you think.
It's a lot. Yeah, it is a lot. Yeah, there's no way I would have guessed this. No way.
I like this.
Absolutely no way.
Not
pretty astonishing.
Not 56 MP. Not 44,000 Carol. Not 51. Not 22,000
Last
Katrine.
year, think about it. It's a global, right? They have global reach. The whole world was remote.
Tina,
So
it is not 1,200,000. Jenna, no, not 8. Amber, not 2 million.
I'm gonna tell you,
Isis,
everybody is way
1
too low.
million.
You're like
all
way,
these numbers,
like that. What is that?
are
Hot,
way
cold,
too low.
That game, like no.
Carl,
everybody's, like, freezing
higher
cold.
than 3 million. All right,
Freezing
I like how Carol's thinking. Carol said 2 billion. That's a little over, Carol, but I love
That's a
that
little.
you
That's
just
a little cold on the other side.
yeah.
But
And P. All right. Juan
2
said
billion.
1,800,000. Katrine said $1 million. Richard said 1.5.
Still-
No, still real
no,
low.
we're
Still
way
real
too
low.
cold. Yeah, this is way too
Lorena
cold. Not
says
thinking,
2
not
million.
ambitious enough.
Holly says 5 million. Tina says 135. I'm gonna say if someone gets within 10 million of this, I'll give it to him. 30
All
billion, a little high. 3 billion, a little high. Lorena, 135,000. A little low. 2 million.
We might have to expand
we got one right on the money. We have got one right on the money. All right, here we go. Vicky Binswanger, 100 million videos is, well, I'm sure it's probably not the exact amount of videos that was made, but that is what they rounded to when we asked them. So Vicky
it's an astonishing
Binswanger. All right, Vicky. Just shoot us an email, contact@newedtechclassroom.com, and we will send you your unlimited Screencastify. So
Thom, one thing I'm actually, I'm going to admit something. Maybe some of you know this, maybe some of you don't, but I actually am not that much of a tech person. Like, I mean, I'm an instructional tech person, but I'm not like a tech geek person, as in like, I don't know a lot about like, hardware and stuff like that. And Tom's always schooling me on things like that. So Thom, does this mean that Screencastify like do they have to like house those on a server or something? I mean, that's gotta be like, they must, right? I mean, it's not
I don't
just,
think so,
existing out in
because
another world.
No, I don't think so, because it's connected to Google Drive. And so I think the users are housing it in their Google Drive accounts.
Okay. So it's not like if you have like 100 million people like visiting, I mean, but conceivably they do have like a lot of people visiting their website. I mean, you gotta have like that could like break you, right?
Yeah, 100 million is a lot.
That's a lot of videos.
I don't know a lot about like how web extensions and all that work. Like if a ton of people like were trying to use it at the same time, are there servers that need to work? But I mean, I know when you're using the edit feature, like, I mean, you're using their platform to kind of like cut up and make changes and everything like that. But yeah, I don't, a lot of the web development stuff is like way over my head.
Yeah. Because I'm sure like other people too got emails last year about like, big name programs that were down because basically like so many people were using them. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you got to be like prepared. You're gonna have 100 million.
I mean, Carl said he's got 1 million in his Google Drive alone, so he's got quite a bit.
Oh, hey, Carl. Carl's always on the lives. Good to see you, Carl. Good to see you. You have 1 million videos alone on your drive. That's impressive. You must pay for the extra storage space.
Yeah, yeah. He probably could have used that unlimited plan.
Well, I would like to give away something different. Can we do that? I would like to give away our other sponsor, one of my favorite products. I've got a couple of them. I got them like behind me. Can you see this? Barely.
Let me make you full screen
I got
real
this
quick.
like.
There we go. Yeah, we see you.
Yeah. So I got a couple. There's like I got this other one, which I know you have, Thom. This Intuos tablet, but I love this one too because it's got like the shortcut keys. Anyways, I love pen tablets.
This is what I made all of my videos with last year.
Yeah, to me, it's like an indispensable tool. I just I was a featured speaker today at a conference that Wacom sponsored, and they asked me to come on and talk for a little bit and talk about how I genuinely feel like pen tablets really just unlock the power of education technology. I believe so strongly in like the power of a digital whiteboard, for example, or like the ability to annotate text. And it's so hard to do that without a pen tablet, particularly if you're trying to draw with your trackpad. It's such a pain in the butt. So what you want to do is you want to get yourself a pen tablet. They take like, I don't know, like a few times to get used to. I'll get comments, people saying that they never get the hang of it or something. You just need to practice like any other thing, and then it becomes intuitive. I use it all the time. I'm actually starting, I don't know about you, Thom, but I'm starting to use mine, particularly like now that I'm using the ones that have the actual keys too, the shortcut keys. I'm like starting to use it just as my mouse, not even using a mouse.
Well, I don't use mine as my mouse, but these buttons come in pretty clutch because like a lot of times I'll just keep my right hand on the on the tablet, my left hand on the keyboard, but like I'll do quick keys that I'll program into these little buttons right here to like move between spaces on my Mac and like different windows and stuff. So I like it a lot too. But what's our question, Sam? What's our giveaway question? What are we giving away?
All right. So part of the thing with this is that they're pressure sensitive. So it's not, it feels realistic. Like even the way, I don't know, that like these little pen tips on here are super cool. So they have all these like pressure sensitive sensors on this thing. And if you use a program that, it tends to be more like an advanced program, like I'm blanking out on the name of the Adobe drawing program right now, but you can actually like get pressure sensitive drawing, like artists use these, for digital art. So the question is, how many levels of pressure sensitivity does a 1x have? How many levels? And I'm gonna give people a hint. It is a 4-digit number. It is a 4-digit number. Okay, 4 digits in this number.
Ingrid asked, where can you
like
purchase a Wacom tablet? Ingrid, you can find Wacom tablets on Amazon, or you can go to their website.
This is the one by Wacom. This is
we got our winner already. Someone was pretty quick with the Googling. Let me take the question off. Hey. All right, Joe Brown, 2048. Not to be confused with some of the other tablets, like the Intuos, I believe, has 4096. I saw Fabulous Class had put that one on there. So the one, but I mean, 2,000 over almost 3,000 levels of pressure. Like that's pretty amazing.
It is true, actually. I just used the Intuos today for the first time, and it's even more like, wow, this thing is super responsive. You just won. Who was it? Dan Brown?
Joe Brown.
Joe Brown. Joe, you got yourself a 1x Wacom pen tablet. So you just need to send us an email at contact@newedtechclassroom.com and let us know. For this one, we need your name and we need your address. So that and I think we actually need your phone number. This is not a for us thing. It's like for a company thing. But anyways, shoot us an email and we'll send you a 1x Wacom pen tablet. So congratulations.
Leveling up. All right. Well, we got one last one. We got a bonus one. Let's give it up for the bonus prize. What is our bonus?
This last giveaway is Jake Miller's book, Educational Duct Tape. And it just came out. It's awesome. I just had him on our academy as well. So if you haven't heard about our academy, it is our professional development membership where we have courses and we have an online community where you can ask questions and share resources. You get things like access to free premium app trials. You get access to exclusive webinars as well. And we're also just like always changing it, or I should say also always changing it. We're taking input and very much working on how we can build it. It's new. We just launched it a couple months ago. And so it's constantly developing, and we are kind of in the process right now of kind of thinking about, what are some really cool things we want to do with it next as well. But we also bring on different people in the EdTech space. We had on Jake Miller on Monday. It was amazing. I loved the conversation with him. All Academy members get access to those. You can watch the recorded version. We did our own giveaway for Academy members as well. But I would love to give a special winner a signed copy of Jake Miller's book. Now, if you're not familiar with Jake Miller, he does a podcast by the same name, Educational Duct Tape. I was on it last year. Jake also came on the channel last year. We did a video, Nearpod versus Pear Deck, which was like by far the most fun I've had creating content. Sorry, Thom. We'll have to make a battle video like that. It was just like, it was a blast making that video.
Sad music
we
playing.
We did like stupid TikToks and stuff. I know, I'm sorry. So anyways, the question to win this, okay, this guy, and I know somebody's gonna have lightning fingers here, but this guy is popular. He's very popular, big, as a curator of content, Jake, on Twitter. How many Twitter followers does Jake Miller have? That's the question. He's got a lot of Twitter followers, people who are going to his Twitter to just find content that he curates. So kind of like we do for YouTube in some ways, but he does that on Twitter. He's like the best person, I think, on Twitter for going and pulling resources, just finding like, what's that new update? And what's going on with that program? So you should follow him on Twitter too. How many Twitter followers does Jake have?
Add one more to that count, yeah. We're going to see everyone's like rushing over to Twitter to find it. Go ahead.
I know. And then it's going to go up because people are going to follow him. So do we go with the new number?
It'll basically be the number from right before the show. Marlon's guessing 1,000. He's got more than 1,000, Marlon.
Ooh, yeah. He's big time on Twitter.
Sandra with the quick fingers. Sandra, 39.4. Sandra L., you get the signed copy of Jake Miller's.
Hey.
Show us the signed copy. We want to see the signed copy. Where's the signature? Oh, he's got to mail it?
He's sending it. He's
sending it. Okay.
He's going to sign it and send it with a hello with the person's name and stuff. It's
Nice.
Not a generic signature. I actually have two. I bought this one and then he sent me another one that's signed. So I have a couple. We could do another. I could sign one.
Yeah, Educational Duct Tape by Jake Miller, signed by Sam Kary.
Signed by Sam Kary. You're welcome. This is a copy of the book. Yes, awesome.
I gave you the book from Sam.
So make sure that you also email us at contact@newedtechclassroom.com.
Yeah, Sandra, don't forget to email us.
Yeah. Put send us your address too, so we can give that to Jake, and he's going to mail you a book because he's a nice guy. And everybody go follow him on Twitter. He's awesome. Follow us there too if you want. And something else I wanted to mention too, so we're actually not posting this as a video. There's one way you can access this and watch it, and that is if you are on our newsletter. So for future shows like this, if you want to be sent the secret link to be able to watch this video that's going to be unlisted, you have just need to be on our newsletter. Our newsletter is also we're doing something different, similar in format, in that we're talking about what's going on in the world of education, updates to different programs. You'll get notifications about different events and things like that. So we're trying to make it meaningful and really valuable for you as well. So do you have the link for that, Thom, to be able to sign up?
I just dropped it in the chat. Yeah.
Newsletter. Awesome.
newedtechclassroom.com/newsletter.
So if you want to, and we also sent out, notification to our newsletter letting people know we were going to go live. And so we'd love to see you on future lives. I think the plan right now, Thom, is that we're going to try to do this once a month. So we'll be, letting people know again when the next one is going to be. We'll send that out to our newsletter. We'll post it on YouTube. But thank you so much for sticking around. And
Juan, I know you're
you're ish.
You're gonna have to tune in next time, Juan. I'm sure Screencastify is gonna hook us up on our next live stream as well. So
come back in November, Juan.
But he's already following the newsletter, he said. So, all right. Well, this was a lot of fun, awesome. Sam. Thanks so much for. I gotta say, I used to live stream on my personal channel, and I was like, all right, I got 7 people to show up, and someone left a comment. It's so much more fun to just have a community of folks that are just tuning in and just sharing their thoughts. And so this was a lot of fun. And this was not I realized this isn't the very first live stream that we've done together, because I came on your show like a year and a half ago to talk about student and classroom jobs. And you had that thing where you were in front of your green screen and in the corner, overlaid on it looks super weird, but it was.
And I was looking. I think I took that down because I was so embarrassed. I was looking the other direction. You were. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah, I was looking that way. I was you were there, and I was asking you questions. Because I was. It wasn't good.
It's all good. This one we
I mean, you were good. I wasn't.
Did better.
Good. You were good. You were always good. Yeah.
I was trying to see the. If I could find it, but oh well, it's not there. It's probably hidden. You deleted it. Yeah, it's unlisted.
It's unlisted now. It's unlisted. I mean, the content was good, but it was not good. I just want to say to everybody too. I always say this at the end of live shows. If you are spending any of your free time watching anything that has to do with education and kind of learning about innovative teaching and all that, you are awesome. And you are super dedicated. So my hat's off to you. And, just kind of circling all the way back around to what we were talking about before. I agree that with what Jen Gonzalez was saying about platitudes, go take care of yourself and go get, do some, yoga or something. That's kind of, meh, right? But I do think, that doing some self-care stuff where you're doing something you enjoy, like I'm trying to get back into the doing some training and stuff like that, I would encourage you to do that if you're feeling like super overwhelmed. Try to pick up, do something. And Thom actually was a good person for helping me see that. Like, hey, it's work's not so important. You can't do some things you like to do. So I feel the same about teaching. Encourage people to do something that has nothing to do with teaching and that you enjoy and have fun with and brings you some joy. And yeah, thanks so much for being awesome. And we'll see you on the next show.
Farewell. Oh no, it's cut to me. It was supposed to be both of us. Oh well, you guys get a behind the scenes look of